Hi everyone, it's Eddie here, and today I'm working on my gel printing registration technique. So basically it's when you do gel prints or do a print that you change up each layer, but you keep printing on the same paper in the exact same location. So what you see me doing here is I cut out some sort of mod shapes out of Yupo and just made some fun shapes, and I'm using them to create different layers, and you'll see I've included the colors of the paints I'm using in the descriptions that you'll see pop up. And I'm using my 5x7 plate here because I figured it'd be easier than trying to do it on the larger plate, because I've only done this maybe like one other time or two other times. So this is pretty new for me, but I'm enjoying it. And it's another technique I have to get good at creating layers. But it's a fun process, and you get some really cool effects, as you'll see as the video goes on. And I'm using just whatever colors come to mind. I try to keep it within the same color range if possible, or just keep the color wheel in mind, and play with colors that are going to go well together, and not, I guess, just not be yucky. Is a good way to put it. That's my technical term, yucky. But yeah, it's a fun technique, and I think that I will definitely get better. I need a better setup, because what's going on here with this washi tape, and it's just, everything is just moving, and I think it's the surface I'm on, and so yeah, some things need tweaking, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to do. Also, another thing to remember is you can do some more mark making in addition to, the stencils you're using. So I'm using the silicone basting brush to create marks in addition to the stencils, or masks as I call them, and create a little bit more interest in the print. As you can see, I'm using also the inner bits from the stencils I cut out, or the masks I cut out on Yupo paper, and it's just more interesting when you mix and match them, and kind of like play one off of each other, and it just makes for a more interesting print. more I continued doing this, the better I got at figuring out where to place my stencils on each layer and what colors to use. And that's the whole thing. It's like you just have to practice and keep doing it over and over. That's another reason I chose to do this on the 5x7 plate. It's more manageable, and I'm not using up large pieces of paper. What I'm using here is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of the Hammermill 32-pound color copy paper, and I've just cut them in half. So that gives me the perfect size to use on a 5x7 plate, and I'm not wasting paper really while I'm practicing. I do really like how this one in particular turned out. It's just the right colors, the good combination, and then for the final touch, I'm not using any stencils. I'm just using a festive green metallic that is from Deco Arts, and that's just going to go over the whole piece. But I rolled it out pretty thin, so it's more like glaze than a layer, or like a. It's not going to kill what's behind it, basically is what I'm trying to say. Because it's not an opaque paint, but if you roll it out thin enough, you can get it to be semi-transparent. And that's the other thing with projects or with, practice sessions like this is it helps you get to know your paints. And that's really important when you're gel printing, that you understand how your different paints work, with different techniques, how they work with different papers, how they work in different climates. Because right now, where I am, it's cold and it's very dry, and the heating is on most of the day, so that makes the space I work in quite dry, which makes my paints dry a lot faster. So I have to keep that in mind when I'm working with on the gel plate. Now on days that are humid, those prints are going to take a lot longer to dry. You'll have more time to work, but also within that spectrum, there's also that thing you have to remember of certain colors dry faster than others. I've discovered, and other people have also discovered, that blue pigmented paints tend to dry a lot quicker than other colors. Certain paints that have like the fluids by Golden, those can dry a lot faster too. And then you have your craft paints. Some of those, they tend to be chalkier, so those will dry a little faster, and maybe stick more to your gel plate if it's not picked up well enough. So you keep those things in mind. Now some of those things that happen, you can work that to your advantage. Like in my previous video where I did the old wall technique on the gel plate, and basically it requires you to leave some paint behind after each layer, and that creates that grungy old peeling wall look that you're going for. So I hope those little tips help. So I gave up on the hinge. It was just annoying me, and I kept having to stick it back on. So I got to get the right sort of tape and surface to work on. But since I have a piece of the white paper underneath the gel plate, I can use it to line up the paper I'm printing on. So I don't have to worry about, it not lining up. Now you see on this print, there was stuff left on the plate, and from previous prints, I was kind of cleaning the plate in between. But I left this on. I left this stuff behind, and kind of just kept going. But I got a really cool print there. If you could see the cool stuff going on that left-hand side print. And there's another way to make these prints even more interesting. Just keep layering. And here's something that I've been doing after a lot of after each print. I didn't show it all because it would take up a lot of the video, but I like to clean my masks and or stencils off onto wet strength tissue paper if they're still wet. So that way I get an additional painty paper, and you see how the stencil gives back. So I'm getting some really cool things going on the tissue, and those stencils, they look really good too. I can just use them to in my art as is. I have to say this last print is probably one of my favorites from the lot, and it's just an awesome color combo, and the shapes I laid out in the right way, I think, in the right composition, and it just all worked out really, really well. I hope you enjoyed watching me practice my gel plate registration technique, and I hope you give it a try. And please don't forget to hit like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. And I will see you very soon. At the end of the video, you'll see pictures of all the prints I made today. Thank you so much. Bye.